Before we proceed with encrypting properties files, I highly recommend installing Java Cryptography extensions first. This will definitely help you in the future dealing with generation of self-signed certificates using stronger encryption algorithms than the ones that come with default JVM, as well as utilize some of the Mule connectors that require JCE extensions to be installed anyway. So if we search for Java JCE, you will find the first link pointing to JCE extension download. Now make sure the JCE extension that you are getting is for Java 8. And actually, if you're running Java 7, make sure you install only extensions that match your JDK version. So I am running JDK 8. I will install these extensions. So I accept it and I download. Once you download JCE policy zip file, as you see here on my left, I have it downloaded. Go into your JDK installation. In my case, that's 1.866. Contents, home, and you will need to extract the zip file into jerry lib security. Now, I recommend backing up your current policy jars into a folder called default. So create a new folder within the security. Let me go in there. I created folder default. You can name it anyhow you want, obviously. And back up your jar files, US export policy jar, local policy jar. Once you're done with that, I recommend extracting the zip somewhere. In my case, it's in downloads folder. Once it's extracted, you can drag them into the security folder. And yes, we will replace them. Okay, now it's all replaced. Next important step is to actually validate that we did the right thing and JCE extensions are actually installed. To do that, we will follow this link, and you will find this link in the additional information in the video. And there is a special command that you can execute from command line to make sure that the extension's installed correctly. In case they installed correctly, you will see the response as true. We open command window, paste the command, run it, and the response is true, so we all set to go. Now we are ready to proceed to the studio, and we're ready to encrypt some property files. Before we can encrypt them in Studio, we need to install special premium security extensions for Anypoint Studio. To do that, as usual, you go into Install New Software. And in your case, you will need to press the Add button here to add a new site. I will provide all the details in the information section of the video. So the site that we need to install is a security update site, and I will provide the link as I said. We select premium and press next to install, accept all the prompts, and the studio will restart. Once studio is restarted, we have the security extensions installed and ready to play with properties files. Let's create a new project. We're gonna call it Secure Properties App. We'll use Maven. We're gonna give it our group ID. We will create gitignore just in case. Next, Java 1.8. I will place it into my default workspace. Next, finish. Project is now on the left. The project is built with Maven, and that's the option I selected during the creation wizard. And as a result, you will see POM.xml with details about the actual build, all the dependencies, properties, everything nicely laid out here. Let's create a sample properties file I will call it app.properties. Properties files contain simple name-value pairs, and you can reference these names from your application and be able to externalize these hard-coded values into a separate file, which is properties file. Now, how do we encrypt our sensitive data? Assume we have username and password properties in our property file. Right now, as you see, we only have text view of properties file, and here comes that security package, security extension that we just installed to the rescue. So if we right click, we say open with, and this is the option that you should now see, Mule Properties Editor. Once it opens, we have a table editor view, and now if you double click on your password, it will provide you an option for encrypting your password. You can press the button encrypt, specify algorithm. In my case, I'll specify blowfish to make it simple. Blowfish can be any text up to 16 characters, so I'll just use 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and now as you see, the value is actually hidden, it's actually encrypted. And we can repeat the process for the username. We say encrypt. Since we already provided all the information, there is no need to provide it again. And we can save the file. If we switch to text editor, we will see that the values are actually encrypted. Now, typically we utilize Spring's property placeholder. In case of secured properties file, we need to utilize a special secured property placeholder. So if we open our application XML, switch to global elements view, we can hit create button, and here at the top of the search, enter secure, and you should see secure property placeholder. Now keep in mind, this also comes only after you install your security extensions. That's why that step was very important. Let's hit OK. Here we specify encryption algorithm. In our case, it was blowfish. The key is actually the encryption key that we used, and it was 1, 2, 3, 4. Location is the name of the file within source main resources. So we will specify app.properties. We can check that too. And we are ready to go. Once I save, properties placeholder will be added to the POM XML automatically. So this is our Maven build, and if we look in POM XML, you will notice security placeholder is automatically added by the studio. Now let's look at the source code that was generated for us. So that's the way we see it in global elements. If we switch to configuration XML, that's what we see. The encryption, as you see, everything was populated into this XML element secure properties placeholder, app properties, and everything else is set. Okay. What I don't like here is that the key is actually exposed in clear text. One way to solve it is to pass this key through JVM arguments. To do that, we will define it as a variable using the $sign with curly brackets, and we're gonna call it mule key. Let's save it. If you go into run as mule application with Maven configure, you will be able to get to arguments, and we have VM arguments here. To pass a VM argument, we need to start with a D, capital D, and the name of our VM argument is mule.key, and and the value is 1, 2, 3, 4. So usually this will be placed into wrapper conf within your mule server. Apply. We can close. So once we actually run the application, that value will be placed into VM arguments and it will get populated during the runtime. Now let's see if it works. To do that, we will switch to message flow view. We will create HTTP listener. Let's add configuration. We'll keep everything the same. We'll just keep it HTTP. Okay. Path we will select as secure. Allowed methods. Let's allow get and save it. To see that this actually works, we will use set variable. Set variable. We're going to give it a name, username. And as for the value, we will use $curly brackets to fetch it from properties files. That's the syntax to fetch from properties files. In our case, that was just username. Save. Let's confirm. Correct. So here is our flow. We have a listener listening on the path secure, port 8081. It will set variable called username and fetch username from properties files. Right now it's encrypted. It should get decrypted at that point. And what we're going to do next is we're going to add logger and log that flow variable. The message will be flowvars.username. Save. Now let's launch the application and test it. Ta-da! It's deployed. Now let's test the endpoint. We had a listener listening on port 8081 secure. We press enter. Remember, we allow get, which is the request from the browser. We look, and the logger says admin, which was our username, which was encrypted. Now, what if you are working in the CloudHub environment? When deploying applications, CloudHub applications have properties section. Same kind of idea as with on-premise mule server. You provide your key equals value, username equals admin. Now anybody who has access to CloudHub will be able to click properties and look at all your values. Unfortunately, you cannot use Secure Properties Placeholder here, but you will be able to hide the properties that you don't want people to see. Let's go back to our project and open Mule app properties, which is in your source main app folder. Here, we can specify secure.properties equals and list your properties separated by comma. These properties will be hidden. Once again, they will not disappear, they will be hidden, and you will not be able to actually see them in CloudHub properties section. So in our case, if we use this, then both keys, key and username, will be hidden. Now you know all my secrets.